Hello, everyone. My name is Sarita Shukla, and I use the she, her pronouns. I'm an assistant teaching professor here in the College of Education, School of Educational Studies at University of Washington, Bothell. Typically here in Washington State, we tend to use our first name, so feel free to call me Sarita, and that's perfectly fine in this space. And if you have any questions, yes, as I'm talking, feel free to put that in the chat. If anything's coming up for you, I'm also happy to just pause and answer anything that's coming up as I'm talking. So I think I'm going to go into this sort of like journey because this session is titled Sharing Our Stories. And I love that title, Todd, by the way. I think it's beautiful. Just when you say sharing our stories, it just reduces anxiety around what is it that how do I share my own story around how did I start this work? So I think that we are all familiar with the use of a syllabus, right? So I was looking up the definition of a syllabus online, and one of the definitions that came up was a summary outline of a discourse, treatise, or a course of study, or of examination requirements. And then I think that prior to the pandemic, I did use the syllabi that I was given, and then I would be editing and changing parts of it. I did feel that there were ways in which I could change and improve on the work that I was doing, but the pandemic really was sort of the point when I pivoted, and then I think that my story around the liquid syllabus is one of the sort of the pandemic stories, um, and just going back into our own minds and thinking about that sudden shift. Washington State was the first state that was affected by the pandemic, right? And I still remember very vividly, um, you know, fully confident that we would be having those presentations the following week, and then suddenly we're told that everything needs to stop, right? We're going online. And then the way that our university functions is on a quarter system. And so the span between the end of one quarter, so it was the end of winter quarter when the pandemic started, right? And then spring quarter started a week later. And I was teaching 4 classes that spring quarter. And I just remember just that I had never taught online. I had not taken online classes. And here I was, suddenly shifting my entire pedagogy to an online format, and in an uncertain environment where we did not know, how we'd be doing in that space. Within that uncertainty and within that space, I truly felt that, I always had this desire to connect with my students. And then when I would show up on the first day of classes, I would connect with students. And then even though the syllabus had sort of this transactional language, I felt like my presence in the class kind of shifted and changed that dynamic. But in that online space, when you're just looking at somebody's face and not their entire being, right? You do not see them, I feel like, fully, or are able to engage with them fully. And that spring quarter was a really bumpy one. I'm sure it was for a lot of us, spring of 2020. And I felt like it was really motivated to find ways to show up and be there for students, even when I was not there physically with them. And in the summer of 2020, I took this workshop with Michelle Pacansky Brock, um, and that workshop resonated deeply with me, um, because Michelle talked about 2 things in a syllabus. One was the humanizing language, and then the other was providing our syllabus on an open access site. And both of those things I felt if I were to include that for my own syllabi, then that would provide that sort of information to students in a way that speaks to where they are right now. So rather than putting everything behind the LMS, the learning management system, if I were to provide that in an open access site and then provide the syllabus a couple of days prior to the start of the quarter, that would reduce anxiety. And I feel that reducing anxiety was one of those big things for us at the time. Our anxiety levels were just over the roof, right? With family, friends, and everyone around us. Just the fear in that moment and reducing anxiety. I felt that if there is one thing that I can do for my students, if I could reduce anxiety in some way. So then I started using the liquid syllabus, right? I had not used Google Sites as much in the past. You could create your liquid syllabus using different tools, right? So Google Sites is the one that I've used, but certainly WordPress and there are umpteen tools out there. I felt comfortable using Google Sites, and then I was like, okay, let's go ahead, let's go in, and then let's create this Google site that has my syllabus, and then the syllabus is linked. Todd has linked that to the Sharing Our Stories, but I'll quickly share the syllabus just so that oops, are we all no? Okay, wait. So stop share. Okay, let me try to bring that back here, and then let's try that again. Okay. All right. So share screen. Here we go. So if you're looking at the syllabus, right? So the syllabus has tabs on the top, and for different parts of the course. What was most interesting for me was about creating sort of like even the welcome page, right? So, we are in this together, and then how, go ahead and browse through these pages and you'll find all of the information that you need. Even spaces like asking questions, how do you ask questions? So rather than scrolling through a larger syllabus, having those different tabs makes it accessible so you can quickly find the information that you're just looking for. And then the resources page I felt was especially helpful as students were moving into an online space. And I was moving into this online space too. Where do I go to find that help? And so having those tabs rather than having students scroll through pages of the syllabus made a lot of sense to me. The other thing that I wanted to share was about the feedback that I got for the liquid syllabus. So I did collect feedback from students, and students did provide feedback that indicated satisfaction with the use of the liquid syllabus. So just share screen and then just some examples of student feedback. So this is one example. Overall, the liquid syllabus was well organized and provided me with all the necessary information I needed for the class in an accessible and easy to read manner. The tabs at the top made finding information quick without having to scroll through multiple pages. And these are snippets of feedback that I collected informally for my classes. And then here's another student feedback. It's different from the traditional boring syllabus, is what the student says. All we need to know are labeled under subheadings we can click on. It is very interactive and clear to understand everything. Another student who stated that the syllabus was really cool and something I had not seen done in any other class. However, I did not think it was any better or worse than another syllabus I had in the past because I accessed it and used it the same ways I would have any other syllabus. I liked the layout and how easy it was to find and access the materials though. right? So again, different students having sort of like different takes on the use of the liquid syllabus. I was talking about humanizing language, and this is one example of a syllabus, a late work policy prior to the pandemic from one of the classes. And going back again to the title of this larger conversation about sharing our stories, that we're all on this journey. So this is where I was in 2018, right? Late work policy, do it, not possible to make up class discussions, in case of an emergency, contact me, right? So that was the transactional language then. And then my late work policy, as I'm sure it has for all of us, has shifted and changed and evolved. And if I think about parenting styles, right? If you think about like Baumrin's parenting styles, Baumrin talks about authoritarian, authoritative, and permissive parenting. I see sort of like my own teaching, sort of like it appeared, right, that it was more authoritarian in the past, that it was like, do this. I'm telling you to do this. Versus now it's more authoritative, where I explain, why do I have these policies? And I'm also open to changing those policies based on student feedback as well. So so sort of like explaining sort of like, why have I shifted my, like, why do I have a sort of like a time frame for submitting assignments, and if there is late work, how can students do that? So certainly I feel like it has helped me humanize my own classes, and sort of allowed me to be more me in the classes that I teach, than sort of like the way that it was set up for me in the past. So I started using liquid syllabus just for one class, but then now I am using it for all the classes that I teach. And looking at the clock, I have 2 minutes to spare for questions. And so welcome any questions that you have, or sort of like comments or any additional thoughts. I'm sorry I have not followed the chat as much as I would have liked.
It's okay. I just want to say that one of the best things I ever heard Sarita say was, and Sarita, as you can tell, is one of the kindest, nicest people like I've ever met. And she, one time when we were talking about this, she looks up and she says, yeah, I think I was just nicer when I was writing it in this space. And she feels like she came across as being a nicer person, as if that's even possible. So I always like that about the way you presented your syllabi in this. Dave has a question. Dave?
It's my first day on the internet. I apologize. Thank you for that. I enjoyed that. I'm wondering what kind of administrative shackles you have with your syllabus in terms of what you can get away with in terms of that. Like, was there some stick handling you needed to do there, or was there stuff that you had to leave out because of the structures, or do you have full ability to do whatever you want with your syllabus where you're at?
That's a great question, Dave. So the syllabus provides general information about the course, right? So as long as there is no student-related information in any way, or any content, right, that's student-specific or sensitive, I can put that information out there. And so the syllabus is sort of like generic, sort of like general, here's what the course is about. Anything that's particular in relation to the course, I put that on the course Canvas site, right? So this is sort of like more general, broad, overarching things that are connected with the course, and those are the only things that you'll see on the syllabus. So I've been very mindful of that, and to be sure that I'm not putting anything that I would not be comfortable sharing with a stranger on the course syllabus. But thank you, that's an important question.